guys, and welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Morgan and I love showing you new ways to cook with your wild game. Today I'm showing you how to make a super simple vegetable soup with ground meat of your choice. This time of the year we always run into the issue of we've eaten through most of the small game and the birds, we've eaten through a lot of the fish, and now we get the opportunity to really focus on the big game and everything that has to offer. In our freezers right now we have elk, deer, antelope, and bear, which means a ton of different opportunities for us to focus on in the weeks and months ahead. With that, let's get started on today's vegetable soup. For this recipe, we are going to need 1 pound to 1.5 pounds of ground meat of your choice. I'll be using elk. Vegetables of your choice. In this recipe, I'm using okra, corn, carrots, 1 onion, and 2 potatoes. Then for seasonings, we're going to use Tony Chachere's, thyme, parsley, bay leaves, oregano, red pepper flakes, salt and pepper, olive oil, and Worcestershire sauce. Then we will need garlic, 4 cans of chicken broth, 2 cans of diced tomatoes, 1 can of beans of your choice. I'm using cannellini beans, and then Parmesan cheese is optional for on top. Always remember the recipe is linked down in the description box. The first thing we're going to do is just prep the veggies. Here you can see I'm just peeling my potatoes, getting them cut into bite-sized cubes. And as you're chopping, make sure you're working on getting them close to the same size. This is important when we get to the cooking point. We will put all of the vegetables in the pot at once, so if they're the same size, this will just help ensure that they are all cooking at the same rate. Now that all the prep work is done with the vegetables, we're gonna get going on the meat. The first thing you're going to do is heat up some oil on a frying pan. This will just help ensure that nothing sticks. I turn the heat to about a medium, put a tablespoon of olive oil in the pan, and then when it is easy to spread around, just like you can see here, that's how you know when your pan is hot and ready for everything to be added in. As you can see, I am throwing the onion into the pan. Then we will add the meat, give that a good stir, and then we're going to add the Worcestershire sauce. Along with a little bit of salt. Remember that the chicken broth is pretty heavy in salt, and we will be adding the Tony Chachere's and a few other seasonings down the road. So you are more than welcome to skip this step if you don't like your food super salty. Definitely make sure as the meat is cooking, you're giving it a stir every now and again. Once all of the pink is gone, we know the meat is done and we are ready to move on to the next step. As you can see, the meat is fully browned, so I'm just transferring it to a cool back burner to let that sit for a few minutes while I get the vegetables cooking. I am going to put the stock pot on the burner, turn it to a medium heat, and then add a tablespoon or so of olive oil. Then once the olive oil is heated and it's easy to smear around, I'm just going to put the potatoes, the carrots, and the okra in the pan. The reason we're not cooking the corn quite yet is because we're really just looking to defrost the corn, not cook it. So we'll add that in as one of the final steps to the soup. Because I had about 2 hours before I wanted to make the soup, I am just giving the vegetables a quick pre-cook to help them cook a little bit quicker. If you wanted to make this an all-day cooking process or wanted to do it in the crock pot, once you get your meat browned, go ahead and just put all of the rest of the ingredients inside the crock pot, turn it on low and let it sit all day. The vegetables will be cooked perfectly. But because I only had a few hours, I'm just giving it a bit of a head start. As you can see, I'm adding in about 2 tablespoons of garlic. I think that's probably equivalent to 5 cloves or so, a pinch of salt, and just stirring that around. I'm going to go ahead and let the vegetables cook for about 20 minutes or so over that medium heat. The way you can tell when they are ready to go is just pull a carrot, because that is the hardest vegetable, out of the pan when it's starting to get a tiny bit soft, not super soft, but just a tiny bit softer. That's how you know we are ready to add the meat in. So as you can see, I'm just adding the meat in. If you're not using wild game, you might want to drain your meat before doing this step, just to make sure that you're eliminating any unnecessary fat or grease. Give that a nice stir, and then we will throw in the chicken broth. Here, just a reminder, I am using 4 cans of low sodium chicken broth. Now that the chicken broth is fully added, I'm just putting in 2 cans of diced tomatoes. If you're not a huge fan of the tomato pieces in a soup, just take the cans of tomatoes, give them a nice little puree in the blender, and that'll give you all of the goodness of the tomatoes and all of the flavor without having to have any of the big pieces of tomato. Now that the base of the soup is made, we're going to add in the seasonings. Here you can see I'm using about a half a teaspoon or so of thyme. Obviously, if there's a flavor that you really love, add in more. These are all very adjustable. Then we are going to go in with about 1 teaspoon of dried parsley. Obviously, if you have fresh of any of these, that's going to be a lot better. About a half a teaspoon of dried oregano. Then red pepper flakes to taste, depending on how spicy you want it. If you don't like spice, definitely skip this step. Then we're gonna add in 2 bay leaves. Make sure you remove the bay leaves from the soup when you serve it. You do not want to eat those. And then about a tablespoon or so of Tony Chachere's. Do remember this seasoning does add a little bit of heat, so definitely scale back if you do not like spicy. And then just pepper to taste. As this is cooking, I leave it on a medium heat and put a lid on it. All you are really looking to do right now is just get the vegetables soft. Once they are soft, go ahead and throw in the beans that are drained along with the corn, and then give that a few more minutes just to come back up to temperature, and then we will be ready to serve. Thank you guys so much for joining me in the kitchen today. If you gave this recipe a go, definitely let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. And if you have any other recipe ideas you would like to see, definitely let me know. Until next time, bye for now.